Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our latest dialogue. I'm Sai, representing BPUR International, and today I have the honor of speaking with Sir Graham Watson. Welcome to our dialogue, Sir Graham Watson.
Thank you, Si. Nice to be with you.
So, to give a quick introduction to people who might not be familiar with you, Sir Graham Watson is a prominent British politician and the first leader of the Liberals and Democrats in the European Parliament. He is also a renowned speaker, lecturer, and author of many books, including Building a Liberal Europe. He's a leading campaigner for the establishment of a United Nations Parliamentary Assembly, co-founder and former chairman of the Climate Parliament. And, of course, he was also knighted by the late Queen Elizabeth. Obviously, there is so much to cover. So I'll implore anyone who's interested to see Sir Graham's full bio on bpur.org. Last, but hopefully not least, Sir Graham Watson is also a leading advisor of BPUR International from the early days. So I would be really interested to know, how did you get involved in BPUR?
Well, I'm very pleased to say, Si, that I met Salam Saharn through friends. I became aware of the campaign that he was leading, and it was very much the early days. And I was inspired by what he was doing because I'm somebody who has grown up thinking of himself as a global citizen and feeling terribly, terribly depressed at the way in which we continue to fight each other for one reason or another, and all of the, might I say, depressing things that I recall from my childhood are still there. No, when I was a child, there were kids at Catholic schools and kids at Protestant schools who were throwing stones at each other. You know, on the council estates in particular, they grew up in separate bands and separate gangs, if you like. There were football teams that reflected this, a Catholic team and a Protestant team. And almost from the word go, you know, from early childhood, you were separated into one tribe or another. I found this terribly depressing then. I find it terribly depressing now, although I'm pleased to say that at the level of education, it's rather better than it was in the United Kingdom. But this is still happening all over the world. We are still fighting each other for reasons of religious belief. And of course, if you look back at the ghastly history of the 20th century, either religion or ideology has been the basis for the unnecessary killing of many, many fellow human beings. I just hope we could put all of this behind us. And I think the idea that you can legislate and use this rapidly evolving new area of international law to legislate against the abuse of religion for political purposes and often for purposes of violence, I think it's a great idea. And I think that Salam has been tremendously creative and, of course, tremendously energetic in what he's been trying to do. Anything I can do to help him, I'm very pleased to.
That is fantastic. I would like to know, having been with this initiative so long, how do you feel that this kind of specific approach to this issue, this sometimes very heated issue of mixing religion and politics, can be tackled by BPUR and how they might succeed in the attempts to navigate this tumultuous issue where other attempts might have failed?
Well, I think one of the biggest changes of the human condition, if you like, in the last, well, look, I'm not far off 70 years old now, but certainly in the 70 years of my lifetime, have been the tremendously greater ease of travel and communication. We now recognize, because of scientific developments, because of many other things, we now recognize that there are a number of issues which are global in nature. and that we are able, through the development of global political or governmental institutions, to start tackling on a global level. And of course, it started with the issues of world peace after two ghastly world wars in the last century. But it has spread to issues of combating discrimination. It's spread to a recognition that we can all help each other through global development policies, a recognition that we need to be coming together to combat disease, that we need to be coming together to provide education, to provide food, to provide shelter, to provide humanitarian assistance. And as you do this, you develop a global society. English has become a global language, probably more because of the power of the United States of America than because of the United Kingdom. But, it's much easier for people to communicate these days. And the existence of electronic technology, we're talking now on Zoom, which 20 years ago did not exist. Well, it existed in some forms, but not in the form we're using it today. These things have made it much, much easier to come together, and frankly, have reduced the excuses for not acting together to do it. And I think what BPUR has done very successfully is to start at a relatively small, relatively local level in London, in the UK, but to expand its work right across the world to try to recruit people in a common cause of banning the political use, or I would say abuse, of religion. And it's been tremendously successful. And I think the adoption, for example, of a resolution in support of this at the Council of Europe has been a remarkable step forward in getting this campaign recognized internationally.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, it is. It's quite fun to think that, yeah, this initiative, it had its birth in lockdown when we had a lot of brilliant minds who were, trapped in closed quarters. And now that the world is opening up again, we can kind of take this kind of stronger action finally after all these wonderful conversations that we've been able to reach out to so many brilliant minds, you included. Okay, so excitingly now, BPUR is on the international agenda and it is anticipating imminent state adoption and a supporting resolution at the Council of Europe. And how do you see the next steps forward?
Well, I mean, of course, it is always nice to look back on what's still a relatively young movement and to take pride in our achievements. But there's a long, long way to go. And it involves talking to individuals, it involves talking to political parties, it involves talking to non-governmental organizations, it involves talking to governments. And what I admire about Salam Sarhan is the way he has continued relentlessly and unremittingly to do this. I believe he is very shortly to have a meeting with one particular government. I'll not mention it in case there's still any secrecy around it, but an important government that is backing this initiative. The more governments we can recruit, the greater the chances of getting this onto the agenda at the United Nations, and the greater the chances of some kind of United Nations consensus around it.
Mhm. Yeah, what do you think the immediate steps are for BPUR right now?
Well, in many ways, they are a continuation of what we've been doing over the last few years, but it's simply working individually, going and talking to individuals, making them aware of the fact that this campaign exists, seeking their support, asking them to help us recruit others to the cause. Because, you can feel after a number of years and after hundreds of meetings that you're making progress. And there's no doubt that a lot of progress has been made. But to get from where we are to where we need to be to actually get a change in human action, a change in the legal framework within which we're dealing, is still a long way. And it requires all of us to do what we can at different points to help in this and to back Salam in his actions on behalf of the campaign, to bring others formally on board, to have formal memoranda of understanding signed, and then to, even when you have people to agree, even then to get them to be active in the different global fora to make this happen.
Well, it leads on great to my last and final question for you, personal question. What is your personal course of action to promote BPUR and help us move forward in these next really exciting stages?
Well, I would love Sai to be more active. I'm nearly 70 years old. I'm certainly past my best. And I will do what I can. But I think that the most useful thing that I can do to help this campaign is to continue talking to others and to try to get others to sign up to it, to recognize the importance of it. And more importantly than this, is to recognize that we can do it. You know, a lot of people say, oh, it's a great idea. It's a great idea in principle, but it would never work. You'd never sign up enough people. You know, the only thing that ever brings about any change in life is a number of individuals coming together and saying, yes, we can do this. And Salam Sarhan is leading a campaign that, in my mind, is capable of achieving its goal.
Yeah, no longer too utopian. It's fantastic that this call to action has galvanized so many spectacular people. And thank you so much for your devotion to this cause. It was an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
So I'm very happy to do my small bit in it. And I really wish everyone else who's involved in it. I mean, all we would say is let's all redouble our efforts and let's bring this about.
Thank you so much for your time, Sir Graham Watson. And thank you so much to everyone for watching, and I'll speak again soon.